Hello, it's Jack Tutor here of Attention Magazine. Welcome to Crucial Listening, the podcast where I speak with musicians and sound artists about 3 albums that are important to them. My guest this time is Vern Avola, a musician based in Portland, Oregon, born in Italy. Vern runs EMS Records. She makes incredible music as Avola. Most recently a split with Leather Jester that accompanied a tour that they recently did and that we talk about in this conversation. Also Spatial Relation on Siege, many others. One consistent factor seems to be just the liveness of it, the sensation of pure piping hot now that runs through Vern's work. All of these synthesizers and electronic devices feel like that they're trying to wriggle off the table and they're having to be clamped down and yanked back. This split release with Leather Jester, Vern's side centers on a big drone, but even that has this fidgety momentum to it. And Vern is so lovely in conversation. I had such a good laugh speaking to Vern about her important records. I really hope you enjoy this one. I should say actually, so if you're listening to this on the day it comes out, 18th of June, Vern is playing a show in Seattle today at Gallery 1412 in Seattle. So go and see her perform. There's a couple of other dates coming up as well. So yeah, you can head over to verns.world to check those out. And head over to attentionmagazine.co.uk/crucial listening, where I'll collate some links there. And if you want to support the podcast, go to ko-fi.com/crucial listening, where I'm taking one-off or monthly donations to support the upkeep of the show. Thank you so much for listening as always. I hope you enjoy this one as much as I did. The anecdotes in this one are really good. This is Vern Avola on Crucial Listening. Hello Vern, welcome to Crucial Listening.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. So you're here to talk about 3 important albums among other things. Namely, to begin with, you're about to go on tour as we're recording. It will have happened by the time this comes out, but tour starts April 19th. So you're going with Leather Jester. Where are we? We're like just over a week away now. What is preparing for tour look like for you, and specifically on this tour as well?
Well, it's been booking this tour has been really awesome, but it's also been a little nostalgic because it's like starting from the very bottom, since COVID happened. Everyone I knew doesn't do the same things, and like certain clubs aren't open anymore, and things are just very, very different. And also, I tried to book a lot of, as much as I could outside. We have an electric generator and our own PA system. So I just figured, let's try to make it more accessible to people who would want to go to a show but not be comfy inside. And we managed to book a couple of those, but also just we're just reaching out to people I've never talked to, and playing all the shows are really early, which is cool.
Yes,
they're
that's all, what you're just saying.
The latest show we have starts at 7 and ends at 9.
Oh my goodness, I'm getting chills just hearing that. That's so good.
And the earliest is, I think we have one show that's 4 p.m. We have to be there at 3 o'clock to load in.
Whoa, wow.
Yeah, it's just great. I'm really happy. We'll be able to go to bed whenever we want.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, so I'm excited. It's been really fun, and yeah, just reaching out to friends and finding couches and mapping out hotels if needed and things like that. It's been exciting. So I'm hopeful that we're gonna have a good time at least.
Ace. And in terms of your own live set, do you tend to shape stuff much beforehand, or do you rock up and see how you feel? How does it tend to go?
I have like a set of parameters that I provide myself with, and like tools. But yeah, I usually per show will just kind of feel it out. If it's like a bunch of like curmudgeon-y people, I'll get really obnoxious and loud, and if it's people who look like they're there to have a good time, I'll make something more dancey happen, or if it just seems really mellow, I'll go into the drone, just kind of like try to feel the vibe out a little bit and just have fun. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, I'm intrigued as well about those shows outside. I mean, is that something you've done much of before?
Yeah. Starting like in the summer of 2020, started going to like a lot of outdoor events. Portland was particularly nuts in 2020 in the summer because of the BLM demonstrations. There was like 120 some odd days straight of demonstrating here in town.
Wow.
And there were a lot of like outdoor things going on, and it kind of like started a whole, I don't know, I guess not necessarily a trend, but like a few people just started really like going for it outside, and it's been really great just being able to just like set up in a park by a train yard, so you don't have to worry about anybody complaining about noise and just going for it,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you've also got a split release as well with yourselves and with yourself and Leather Jester.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued as to, I mean, was this piece made specifically for the split?
Yeah.
It was. Okay.
I wanted to do a split with them. Leather Jester is my husband and one of my nearest and dearest friends, Andy Brack. And yeah, they, I don't know if you listened to their side too. I'm sure you did. But they just have like this incredible sense of humor, and I just really wanted to make something that was just like, it's been a while since I've done a drone-y thing, and I just wanted something that I thought would feel fun to do, to kind of set up what was about to happen on the other side.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, what I liked about it is obviously you mentioned the fact that it was a drone, but it's one of those things where drone is almost a misnomer because there are some like prolonged tonal elements, but it's frenetic. Like there are bits of it that don't want to sit down, which I really like. It's got this kind of twitchiness to it, which is super appealing to me.
Thank you.
What are your memories of putting that one together? I mean, it sounds like with your quote unquote process, sounds like it's quite rapid. You kind of just let the moment take you, right? When you're sitting down and doing something. But when did you make that piece, and what are your memories of actually putting that one together?
So I've been studying with a friend of mine who's a doctor of Chinese medicine, and they've been teaching me like qigong methods and also how to play quartz singing bowls while implementing those qigong like exercises. And I had spent the afternoon with her droning for about 2 hours on the bowls. And I came home and was just like, I'm ready to go. I just went upstairs to my synthesizer and I was just like, let's go. And I droned for like a couple hours, and
oh, lush. That's so good.
and so that was just like, I just did that, and then I just was so inspired, and I was just like going to Crackle Town and I just let it go, and then took the recording, brought it into my recording collage zone, and just kind of cut it up and messed around with it a lot to bring it down, because it was like 2 hours of sound originally, and I was like, okay, well this isn't good for a 20-minute split. So we gotta edit it down here.
Yeah.
But I just like kind of let that all kind of guide me too. So I just, went through and put it all together, and yeah, that's how it came to be.
Oh, great. It's really cool. I will link to it in the show notes so people can dive in.
Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to touch on here is your project with Daniel Menchie, which is Bear Spray, which I think enough people have already said, but the kind of promo pics you've been putting out of the two of you are just splendid. So nice. There's some beautiful smiles and power tools in one of them, which is just 10 out of 10. So I understand you and Daniel are pals. How did Bear Spray start out with the two of you?
I think we were just like, let's try to play music together. And I went into it like understanding that it could very well be terrible and that I might let him down. Or he, like it just might not work, and that's okay. And we played in his living room for like an hour, and both of us afterwards were like, oh my God, that was so much fun. And so we don't get together too often, especially now because of the pandemic and everything that kind of like messed things up. But when we do get together, it's always really fun, and we just kind of like, he's just like, okay, you go high, I go low, or you go low, I go high, and that's it. And like he'll just call out like what frequencies one of us is going to take over for the session, and then just go for it,
Yeah,
and
that's great.
and see what happens.
I love that.
It's so much fun.
Is there a release then forthcoming?
We've been working on some new stuff. I'm hoping in the next couple months, we'll have something ready to go.
Nice.
We both have a lot of fun, but when we're done and we listen to things back, we're both hypercritical and are never happy. So, we just have to get to that point where we have a lot of fun and really like what happens when we listen to it again.
You're right, gotcha. Okay, well, here's hoping. I'd love to hear more. So, Van, let's go to your important records now. So, one question I like to ask at this point is how you thought about the word important when picking this list. I mean, was there a way that you understood important in order to come up with the 3 records that you did?
Yeah, when I thought of important records, I just immediately thought of the ones that inspired me the most, and like they're just like the most valuable to me in like the memory bank, and so I just picked I picked the ones that like I have the strongest like emotional response to every time I listen to it.
Wicked. Great answer.
Yeah.
So let's go for your first one then. Which one do you want to talk about first?
I guess we could go in kind of the order that I gave them to you. So I think the first one I said was The Fragile by Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So to start with, give me a little introduction then as to why this one is on the list, why it's important to you.
So I heard this record for the first time when I was like, I think maybe 17 years old, and I just lost it. I was just like, I think I found it because I think somebody showed me that movie Buffalo 66, and there's that scene in the bowling alley with Heart of the Sunrise, that like famous scene. And when that song started at that moment, I was like, the scene is cool or whatever, but what's this fucking song? And then I found the album, and I was just like, I listened to it, I think maybe 10 times, just over and over and over again, like immediately. I was just like, this is insanity. Like, it's just shredder insanity, and it's taking me everywhere, and I'm so happy right now. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
So when you discovered that record, what were you listening to at that point? Like, what did your taste look like at the moment you came into discovering this one?
Let's see. So 16, 17, that's when we all have a lot of regrets from our developmental days, but around then I was like solidly into like Aphex Twin and really, really into, I just learned about the Melvins, and I was into like a lot of weird stuff. Like I was going to raves occasionally because they were still kind of happening. And I was going to a lot of shows, like metal shows and punk shows, because I lived really close to an all ages venue when I was growing up. And yeah, so my taste had already been kind of all over the place. I had recently at that point discovered synthesizer music. Like I had, started collecting like Moog records and stuff, like anything with a Moog on it. I started collecting that stuff. So I was kind of in this like art. I had very much started really digging into like the wild and weird world of like expansive music, and just like music that was far from 4/4,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So you discover this one, you listen to it a lot of times in quick succession. So I imagine there's a few records as well that kind of fit that criteria, right, of being ones that you're like, oh shit, and then you listen to a lot. But what is it about the Fragile that then made it an important record, or as you say, like made it one that had an influence on you? Like, what happened after that point?
Well, I got really into Yes in the 70s. Like any Yes record, all the artwork started becoming like really important for me, because all the artwork on those records is just incredible. I'm also a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
Right.
And they were like tapping into that like fantasy zone. And I started listening to that record anytime I went on a road trip, or was like, if I had a friend come into town from somewhere and they'd never been before, like I would put on the Fragile and we'd drive to Bodega Bay, or, It was always the like, oh, we're going to go on an epic journey. Let me throw on this mind-blowing album for you. Like, have you ever heard The Fragile by Yes? Oh, no, you haven't? Here you go. Like,
wow. Oh, that's great.
So it just became like, I have like memory of, being incredibly hungover in an RV with my parents and some friends visiting from Boston, and for some reason my parents decided that was the day that we were going to go empty out the septic tank for the RV, and we were going to do it as a whole group. And I threw on the Fragile while we were driving there, and we were all just like miserable and trying to like smile by like listening to this album. And like getting to the station where we had to empty the tank out, and just like remembering that smell while the music is still blasting.
Oh man.
And all of us feel terrible,
Yeah. I'm surprised the record has survived that memory, to be honest. That the waft doesn't come back, and you're like, oh no, not anymore.
Oh no.
So Heart of the Sunrise was the one that connected with you initially because of the film. So were there any other tracks as well that when you started to get into the record, you were like, oh, this one's really connecting?
The very first track, like, just, you think it's over like 10 times, and then it keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Like you get these like fake outs. You're like, oh man, that was, oh shit. Like,
yeah.
Like just like ripping and ripping.
Yeah. Yeah, so good.
Yeah. And the other thing is, when I was a little kid, my mom played classical guitar, and she got me into like more proggy music as a little one. Like one of her favorite bands is Jethro Tull, and she showed me Van der Graaf Generator when I was like 14 years old. And she wasn't really a Yes fan. She never really listened to them, but I got her more into them, I think.
Oh, interesting.
But that was like another thing, was like listening to the guitar, and that like just kind of made me think of my mom a lot in a really beautiful way. So that was like another, just tugging at the heartstrings a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And this is the first record to feature Rick Wakeman, right? So,
yeah.
Were you paying any special attention to Rick? Because obviously you were on. You say you were making your first foray into synthesizers. So was that part of the record that connected with you too?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't shred like that, and probably never will. And that's okay. I've accepted that. But yes, for sure. Like, and watching videos of him with like 8, Moogs around and his cape, just like top notch, like absolutely top notch.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, wow. I mean, he's also as well. It sounds like that this record had like an interesting backstory in terms of how it was written. Did like all the band members get like one track each or something?
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I from looking at it, I think there was a chunk of the record which was kind of written in a standard way, and then each band member got a track. So I think Bill Bruford's was like the 32nd one, because it was his first thing he'd ever written.
Oh wow, okay.
But then Rick Wakeman was under contract still, and so he couldn't do an original composition. Hence that, like, was it Cans and Brams piece, which was his arrangement. But he's called That Dreadful. What do you think of that one, the second track?
It's definitely like wild that it just pops up there.
Yeah.
Like that was like definitely another thing where I was like, what? What's going on? Like,
yeah.
But also, like I had heard Switched on Bach by Wendy Carlos already.
Right.
And so I was like, oh, of course the synth guy's got to show off their chops, like, what are we also classically trained? Cool. Rip it and grip it, my dude. All 100%.
Right. And have you seen them? I don't know what their situation was in terms of like when they put themselves to bed or whether they came back. I'm not really plugged into Yes, but did you ever get the chance to see them live or anything?
I haven't seen them live. They do play occasionally at casinos and stuff. And
oh, really?
They play like every few years, and I should have gone and seen them last time because I think they're probably not coming back again. But I'm not as into their 80s and 90s stuff. My husband really loves it.
Right.
He's more into like weird smooth jazz, like and that kind of stuff, and like kind of weird soft experimental music, I guess. I don't know.
Right, okay.
And I'm really more of a like 70s Yes guy. So like I've been pretty hesitant to go see them because I don't care as much about, like some of their later stuff, and I know they're gonna pull from everything.
Yes, yeah.
And that's cool, but
you don't need to sit through it. Yeah.
Right.
I hear you. Yeah, that's fair. So if we were to play a little clip of one of the tracks at this point, which track stands out for you now as you're thinking about the record?
We Have Heaven, the third track.
Nice.
The like round that that one always makes my arm hair raise up.
Okay, Van, let's go to your second important album, so I can't recall what was second
That
on the
one,
list.
I think was Pamelia Kirsten, Thinking Out Loud. Yes.
Cool. So likewise with this one, if you could give me a little introduction as to why this one made the list.
So this one I found at work. I used to work at Amoeba Records.
Cool. Oh yeah.
And this came out while I was working there, and one of my coworkers knew that I really like synths and stuff, and he was like, "Hey, this record just came out, and it's this woman who plays theremin. You should check it out." And I put it on, and my eyes started watering like immediately.
Wow.
I was just like, I was so moved by it. It's just, for me, it's just like, it takes me into this like introspective place, where I just feel really comfortable, like kind of zeroing out, and like, I feel like I'm like going on a mind journey with her, you know? And my favorite part was the last song at the very end. She talks and she's like laughing because it's a live track, and she's like, "Ha, like I just made a bunch of crazy sounds, you know, like bing bong bong bong." Just starts cackling, and I was like, "Oh my god, this woman is incredible." And I wrote her a letter.
Wow.
After I listened to the album, and I was like, "Oh my god, thank you so much for making this record. Like, it's so beautiful. You're so amazing. You are an inspiration." And I'm so grateful. And she sent me something back. She wrote out, handwritten, a newspaper, like on an 8.5 by 11-inch piece of paper, called Pamelia Kirsten's Toilet Paper. And it's all like poop jokes.
What? No way.
And like, there's even a crossword puzzle, which is both in English and Austrian, because she lives in Austria now. And the whole thing is handwritten backwards. I'll send you a photograph of it.
What? Wow.
Yeah. It's like handwritten backwards, poop jokes.
Wow.
And I was just like, holy shit, like you are from the same alien planet that I am. And I still talk to her. We're still like friends on the internet. I've never met her in real life, but like I really hope one day that we can like hang out. Like I just want to hang out with her so bad.
Oh my word.
And so we've just kind of been pen pals, and it's just so cool. But yeah, every time I listen to this record, it just like it takes me on this like journey, and I just love it. I love how you can like really get a sense of inside of her mind without her saying a single word, you know? Like it's just, I think it's beautiful. Yeah.
And how did this record kind of influence you or make an impression on you? Like, do you think that its influences fed into how you think about what you do, or is it more, as you say, within the kind of realms of how it makes you feel when you're listening to it?
I think it inspired me to just let go more, and feed into my instinct to just noodle and jam and like let my brain do everything without thinking about it.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know, like when I'm playing, most of the time when I play music, I don't when I'm alone, you know, if I'm playing with someone else, obviously I'm going to try to work with whoever I'm playing with. But like if I'm playing by myself, I don't need a structure. I can just be like, okay, well, body's going over here now. We're going to turn this knob, and we're going to unplug this cable and put it over here. And we're just going to see what happens. And my brain will just go, you know, and we're going to see what comes out of it. And that, I think, really, the confidence to do that came from listening to this album, because I watched some videos of her performing, and when she performs these songs, they're never the same because she's doing live looping and that's the vibe. Like that's that's how I have always played too. And so it was just like, oh, cool. Like, all right, well, if she's hitting me this way, maybe I can affect someone like that too by just like letting my psychic energy like take over the moment, and like work in the space and stuff like that. And yeah.
yeah, for
I don't know
sure.
if that made any sense.
Absolutely. Well,
okay.
as well, I'm wondering, because what I find interesting about sessions where you record music like that is you have a moment where I guess you get guided by those instincts and you just let yourself be subsumed by it. But I guess we come back to the thing you were saying with Bear Spray, where you have that listening back where I suppose you've got them more of like a rational reflex that's kind of coming in and being like, what was happening here? But like how when you're listening back to your own music, and like what's the kind of ratio of stuff where you're like, oh, this is great, like I've given this a bit of air, I've come back to it and I'm still digging it, or like coming back to stuff and being like, no, I was having a great time in the moment, but this isn't something I want to put out. Like how much material do you end up putting out of the stuff that you actually make?
Honestly, I put out most of it.
Nice.
Which is cool. And part of it is like, I'm like, oh, well, I don't think it's that bad. But if I like, that's usually like good for me. Like if I'm like, oh, it's not that bad, I'm really self-deprecating.
Right.
I'm just like, maybe somebody will like it. But also I also have my husband who, he's usually below our music studio's upstairs in our attic, and he's below, and if I come down and he's like, that sounded really fucking cool, then I'm like, okay, I'll listen to it again. But if he's just like, are you done? Then I know, like, maybe don't listen to that one. Just delete it.
Nice. Yeah. That's really, well, that's cool though, because I guess that's that little external affirmation that's just like, okay, it's done, it's out, it's up.
Yeah.
That's all I
it's
needed.
like over. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. With Pamelia, I mean, I struggled to find much about this record online, which kind of, or Pamelia generally, right? There's a TED talk with Pamelia from like, I think like 2000, it's dated 2002. I don't know whether that's when it happened, but she's just like tremendous, and such a lovely energy comes through. But like, what other music? This is kind of a selfish question because I'm just intrigued as to like what else to check out. But like, are there other records by Pamelia that you discovered after this point that also resonated with you as well?
She hasn't recorded it much more by herself at all. She's in a band called Barbez that performs occasionally, but they're kind of hard to find recordings of them. I think maybe because Zadig Records put this album out, and I think Barbez has some stuff through Zadig Records too.
Right.
And I think for the most part, her recorded works are way harder to find, and she's really more of a live performer a lot of the time, and just does a lot of like live improvisation with people. The other thing that makes it a little hard is I think she was married, and I don't know if she still is or not.
Yes.
I don't want to and changed her name, and I don't know if she records under that name now, and I just haven't found any of her music.
Yes. Well, this is the thing. So when I was looking for videos, I noticed stuff coming up as Pamelia Stickney. So yeah, I guess that just poses a bit of a challenge, doesn't it? Makes things a bit of a rummage around the internet to find things. But I found a record of her and someone called Sebastian Rockford, which I listened to today, and I was like, this is absolutely my kind of thing. But
is that the one with the piano, like the experimental piano?
It sounds like it's Pamelia and drums. And
oh, cool. Okay.
That seems to be like the core of it, but it just made me go, why isn't the theremin more of a thing. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know what the you've probably got more of a bustling scene than my little coastal town, but I don't see much theremin happening. There's a few people that come to mind, but it just really surprised me because it seems like such a versatile, awesome instrument with so much going on. But have you encountered much more?
I bought a theremin.
And
I tried to play it. And I actually wrote to her and I said, do you have any hot tips? And can I bug you occasionally for how to play theremin? She's like, absolutely, anytime.
Oh, wicked.
And the first list of things she said was stand against a wall and try to play it without making your body move while you're breathing. Because every moment that you're breathing is going to detune and retune. And I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
And she gave me some other pointers, like go, like in order to figure out like your range, like make it sound so it's going to be like the deepest, lowest fart you can find. And then like the highest pitch that you really want. And that's how you will have your tuning range and stuff. And then, just lean against the wall and try not to breathe real heavy.
Try not
see
to
what you can do.
Stop breathing if you can. Wow.
And I tried for about a year and I got okay. But I realized that I really would just have more fun playing my synthesizer. And then I would leave it to the pros.
Yeah, fair. I mean, did you ever record anything with it?
Yeah, but it was like Mike Patton style. So it was just like, wow, wow, like it's not good,
Right. Okay, Ven, let's go to your final important record. I love how eclectic these are. So what's your final record in the list?
Harvey Milk, My Love is Higher Than Your Assessment of What My Love Could Be. This
awesome
record, good Lord.
Yeah, so
yeah.
Unpack that good Lord for me. Why is this one in the list? What makes it an important record for you?
I mean, for me, I think Harvey Milk is one of the best bands of all time. I think they are highly ignored, and it is a travesty. They don't have what they deserve. I think this is one of the most important bands ever. It's just this album just ranges from like complete like guttural depression to like this like crazy like it's an insane record that hits all of these strings in my mind, all of these like it plucks all my heartstrings. It's like the sound of rage and hate and love and passion, and it's just I don't know. I become speechless. I don't know.
Well, hey, I mean that was a good start. I mean, do you remember how you first discovered it?
Yeah, back in 2004 or 5, I started playing in a metal band, and someone in the band was like, "Have you ever heard this band Harvey Milk?" And I said no. And they put on their like 90s album, and
right.
And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, I just like I couldn't handle it. I was just so I was like, what is happening right now?
Right.
And I thought that I was never gonna see the band, because when I was showed this band, they weren't playing anymore. And so I was just showed this band Harvey Milk, and I was like, oh my god, like You know, like, okay, well,
Yeah, right.
thanks for existing. I'm sorry you're not going to be here anymore. Like, you know.
Yeah.
And then they got back together with Joe Preston and put out
Right.
an album, and I saw them live and I cried. I don't normally cry, but
Wow.
I cried at the show.
When did you see them? When was that?
I saw them in so 2008. Yeah.
Gotcha.
They played in San Francisco and no one was there.
Really?
It was totally under advertised and they started the show early. There were
That's
people coming in as they were ending their set at like 10 o'clock.
That is
and
unreal.
Everyone was so upset. You know, like it was another one of those things where it's like, this band isn't getting what they deserve.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to see them play and with Joe Preston, which was like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, could it get any better? No, it can't.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing, does your connection with Joe Preston go back to Melvin's?
Yeah, I mean, I had learned about Joe from the Melvins. His album, when they did that they each did a separate album, kind of like Kiss did. His was always my favorite because of the baby crying. The song with like, it was like lounge music in the background, and this kid is like, I want my mommy.
Oh my God.
For like a long time.
Wow.
And I was just like, this is incredible. And then Thrones, like I heard Thrones, and
Oh my
you know, like
gosh, yeah,
some of the
Thrones.
best music ever. Like,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Me and my dad saw Thrones play live in Birmingham, but my dad didn't know what to do with himself.
just like, what is happening right now?
Why do my son's eyes roll back in his head? It's a big day for him, but okay, right. So Melvins and Thrones, and I mean, he's been involved in so much, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, he's on like most of my favorite albums. It's pretty great.
Well, I was going to ask, in fact, because you did like a call and response thing with Joe, right, on a track by Dead.
Yes.
Yeah. So how did that come about, and what was that like?
Okay, so Dead, those Magic Boys, those guys, oh my gosh, they reached out to my metal band in like 2013 or 14, and they were coming to the United States to play Total Fest and go on tour. And someone at Total Fest said, hey, you know, there's this band Prize Hog, and I think the drummer uses the same drum kit that Jace uses, or that Jem uses. Sorry, guys. That Jem uses. You should hit them up. And we were not good at using our email at all, and not good at checking out bands or anything online, and just kind of ignored it. And then we got to Montana for Total Fest, and we got there really late at night, and there was this after party going on, and we went to it, and there's this two-piece just fucking destroying. And we're all like, who the hell is this? And it turned out to be this band that contacted us and wanted to know if we wanted to go on tour with them and if they could share gear with us. And we were like, God damn it. We really fucked up. So as soon as they were done, we were like, I mean, I think I was like kind of asleep, but I woke up a little bit and then went back to sleep while they were playing, and then woke up again and was like, oh, you guys are great. And we kind of became fast friends immediately. And a couple years later, we were supposed to do a tour together, our band, my band and their band. And then my band broke up.
Oh, shucks.
And then this other band they were also supposed to go on tour with, their band broke up too.
Oh.
And I was playing synth, but I was like playing bass synth. And then the bass player from the other band, so us bass players are sad bass players. we took Dead on tour together.
Wow.
And at the end of that tour, I got to record with them, and I did like the end track for one of their, like, they did like a 4 LP 3-part box set. I think they called it the trilogy, but there was 4 parts. It's
nice.
It's dead. And I was on one of the records, and then and it was just really fun, and then they were doing another release, and they were like, we want you and Joe to do a song together. And I was like, holy crap, cool. So that's just kind of what happened. We they sent tracks, and we just did some exchanges back and forth, and I got everything after Joe added his part, and I was like, all right, here we go. Hopefully I don't disappoint you guys.
Oh, Ace, that's so good. To return to Harvey Milk as well, why is this record the important one? They've done, obviously, a bunch. Familiar with a couple. One of theirs got put on this podcast already by Mathieu, the guitarist in Big Brave. He picked A Small Turn of Human Kindness, which was amazing. But yeah, obviously everything I've heard has been of outrageous quality. Why is this the one that pokes through for you?
I don't know. It's always the one that, like, it's I think it's kind of the weirder one. Yeah. Which I'm always kind of more inherently attracted to something that's, like, off a bit. But the track The Anvil Will Fall is just like, I don't know. There's just something about it. I don't know. Yeah. Like, it's just like, no, this is just it. This is it. Like, this is all I need. If I had to, like, only have one record I had to listen to over and over again forever, I would possibly pick this record. Like, I don't know why.
Yeah. I mean, because that's the one with, like, the Gustav Holst bit in the middle where he's, like, singing over it, right?
Yeah.
That sounds bizarre now. Like, however many, nearly 30 years after it came out.
Yeah. And they played that live when I saw them, and I, like, lost my shit.
Wow.
I was just like, oh my God.
Oh, that's so good. Oh.
Yeah.
There's so many moments on this one that seem, I'm intrigued to see if there's any more as well that, like, jolt out in your head while we're talking about it. But this is because I think I just finished listening to it before we started talking, but there's, like, a sort of cowbell sound in the last track. A really rusty clunk. What is that?
It's an anvil.
Oh, right. Okay.
If you go to the YouTube hole, there are videos of them performing this song, and he's got an anvil and a hammer on stage, Creston Spears, and he's just yelling and fucking smashing that thing down.
Right. Okay.
And I think that's something that, about this band that is truly special, is, like, there are a lot of bands who, like, try to be heavy, but, like, this band is inherently, like, the heaviest. Like, it's just like, like it's just like an anvil, like like an actual anvil.
Yeah, they've won. Yeah. I also was, I think, really surprised with this one to hear, within this context of, like, basically a crawling sort of doom record sometimes, just really, really bizarre elements. I think they've got a sound that, when they're kind of doing that doom thing, it feels like a reduced minimalist doom record. Like, it's the last place you think you're going to hit Gustav Holst, or, a clunky anvil, I think.
because I think ultimately these guys are aliens, and they're not from here, and there's something's wrong, and they're trying to get that beacon home, So they're just going all into it's like introspective, like this, it's all guttural, bizarre inside music coming out in a monstrous way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Is it one that you still listen to now?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Huh.
Always on heavy rotation.
Ace.
Sometimes I even put it on at work. If I put it on at work, it means I'm having a bad day and people need to be nice to me. Like, it's like, y'all better back off because I'm not feeling good. I'm going to make you listen to this whether you like it or not.
I was going to ask, is that, headphones or speakers?
If I'm, sometimes it'll be headphones if I'm really, really, really mad because I need it to be very loud.
Yeah. I find it really interesting with I don't really have an office where communal listening can take place, but where you've got an office of people and choosing what goes on the stereo, particularly if it's records. Like, do you have a fair system to make sure that people aren't like, I can't listen to this Harvey Milk record again today?
Oh yeah, I don't work with my current position is very chill, and I don't actually get angry at work at my new job, which is cool.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
But and we're very we all have the same taste, and it's just whoever feels like picking something will do it. But in the past, I've tried to be fairly democratic about stuff, and generally would never put something like this on because I know that it would just annoy most people or make them feel uncomfortable. So it's definitely, if I ever did pull that card where I was like, all right, I'm putting on Harvey Milk right now. It's because I'm feeling like a spiteful person and don't care about anyone's comfort level.
Yeah. Ben, I've got one more question for you, which is about how you tend to buy music these days. What's the primary way you do that? Do you have a favorite format? Yeah, what does buying music look like for you?
I try to go to the record store as much as I can, and I like to buy used records a lot. But I also buy a lot of music on Bandcamp, just directly from artists as much as I can, or through their website or whatever. I have a lot of digital music, but I prefer to listen to tapes and records and CDs. And yes, CDs, that's right.
Yeah, CDs, absolutely.
They're not as popular here, but they're getting more popular again, I think. I don't know.
Kind of force of hand, right, with the distro. For the other two being so not distro, manufacture, beg your pardon, being so difficult.
Yeah, totally. So that's basically it. I don't like streaming platforms at all. I actually can honestly say I've never had a Spotify account.
Nice.
I hate it.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
And in terms of when you listen to music day to day, are there particular places that your music listening tends to happen most, or favorite places?
Music listening kind of happens everywhere. In that we have ways to listen to music in almost every room of the house, and love to blast it in the car. I think my favorite is just on a long road trip, blasting an album is my most favorite thing.
Awesome. Vern, thank you so much. It's been awesome to speak to you about, firstly, your upcoming tour, all the best for that, and the split, and your 3 important records as well, which were, like I say, super eclectic, and I had a great time with them.
I had so much fun talking to you. Thank you so much for having me on.
No trouble. And to everyone listening, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.